All right, let's talk about the absolute foundation of any great research project. We're going to go from having just a vague idea, maybe a spark of curiosity, and turn it into a super sharp, solvable problem. Let's get right into it.
So let me ask you something. Think about any big breakthrough, or even just a simple, smart fix for a problem in your neighborhood. What do they all have in common? Where do they all begin? You got it. It all starts with a perfectly framed problem. See, before you can even think about finding an answer, you have to be crystal clear on the question you're trying to solve. This, right here, is the most important first step.
And look, this isn't just some abstract thing for a class. We're talking about an individual project. That basically means you become an investigator in your own world, looking for a real challenge and figuring out how to actually find a workable solution.
Okay, so step one. I want you to think about this whole process like a funnel. Right now, we're at the very widest part. We're just looking around, observing our world, and trying to spot a problem, any problem that needs to be fixed.
And trust me, these problems are literally everywhere. I mean, take social media addiction. That's a huge one, right? It's a modern challenge that's tangled up in our mental health, our focus, and our daily lives. It's a big deal.
Or, hey, what about something closer to home? Poor waste management. It's not just ugly to look at, it can be a real health hazard. It shows that some of the most important problems are right there on our own streets, waiting to be solved.
And think about the systems we use every single day, like our schools. Overcrowded classrooms, that's a problem, with very real, very serious consequences for the quality of education and, for the future.
So you've spotted something. How do you know if it's a good problem for a project? Well, it's got to check these 4 boxes. It has to be relevant to real life and be focused, not, solve world hunger. And critically, it has to be researchable, meaning you can actually find data on it. But most of all, the whole point should be to make things better for the community.
Okay, you've got your problem. Now we're moving a little deeper into that funnel. Step 2 is all about taking that general problem and stating it with absolute, undeniable clarity.
And the best way to do that, honestly, is with this awesome 3-part problem statement. This structure is like a secret weapon. It forces you to define what should be happening, what is happening, and why that gap between the two even matters. It's fantastic for getting clear. So let's try it out with an example. First up, we state the ideal. In a perfect world, in a great school, students are thriving, they're healthy, and they're safe. This is the goal, the benchmark we're aiming for.
But then we have to get real. What's the actual situation on the ground? The reality is that schools are seeing more and more struggles with mental health and substance use. And just like that, you see this huge, stark contrast with the ideal situation we just described.
And finally, the consequences. So what? Why does this matter? Well, because this gap leads to grades dropping, more discipline problems, and really serious long-term health issues. This part, the consequences, is what makes the problem so urgent and so important to solve.
And here we are at the very bottom of our funnel, the most focused, most precise part of the whole process. We found a problem, we've defined it. Now the last step is to turn it into a research topic that is totally balanced and unbiased.
This is so important. To be a real investigator, to find the truth, you have to stay neutral. That means avoiding loaded words like effect or abuse. Think about it. The second you say drug abuse, you've already passed judgment. Instead, we're just going to connect ideas with and use specific terms we can actually measure.
To build this neutral topic, we need 2 main ingredients, variables. The independent variable, or IV, that's the thing you think is the cause. And the dependent variable, the DV, that's the outcome or the result that you want to measure. It's your classic cause and effect setup.
So let's go back to our example. The cause, our independent variable, isn't substance abuse. Remember, that's a biased term. The neutral way to say it is substance use. We're simply stating that something is happening without any judgment attached.
And what's the outcome we're curious about? Our dependent variable? We're not going to say poor mental health. Instead, we use the neutral phrase mental being. This lets us investigate the connection without assuming from the start that the outcome is going to be negative. We just connect them with and.
And last but not least, a great topic needs a clear scope. You can't study everyone everywhere. So by adding a specific location and context, like selected secondary schools in Uace district, Uganda, the project suddenly becomes focused, it becomes manageable, and our journey from a big idea to a sharp testable topic is complete.
As we start to wrap this up, I really want you to see this whole thing not just as, a boring academic exercise. This process is your first, absolutely essential step toward discovering something true about the world.
So, let's recap that funnel real quick. You start broad, just spotting a real problem out in the world. Then, you give it structure, using that ideal, real, and consequences framework. And finally, you get super focused by building a neutral topic with a clear cause, a clear effect, and a clear scope.
And that's it. That's the journey from just noticing something to asking a powerful, researchable question. You now have the framework you need to get to the truth of the matter. So, really, there's only one question left. What problem are you going to solve?